Well, and speaking of infrastructure, we focus on that right now. In Kenya's urban centers today, you'll hardly need to travel too far to see a construction site, either residential or commercial. Real estate firms are enjoying a boom as an emerging middle class invests in housing. However, a recent World Bank report states that only 8% of Kenyans can afford housing loans. Nevertheless, growth in real estate has led to the emergence of a new trend. Tatu City, a mega holistic lifestyle city, was launched in October. And if this ambitious development will become a reality, then gone are the days when one had to come to Nairobi for work or otherwise. But as Willis Raburu reports, these projects require sufficient planning of our cities. Let's take a look.
The expansive Nairobi city that has for years remained a key business hub in the region. It has drawn attention to itself as the investment nucleus of East and Central Africa. It is said that when the city of Nairobi was created in the early 1900s, the planners had in mind only 500,000 people, a far cry from the 4 million inhabitants of the city today. In most parts of the city, expansive apartments are being put in place, and thus one would have a sense that real estate is alive within the city and by extension across the nation. However, the statistics are quite the contrary.
It is a crisis. We are actually dealing with a housing crisis in Kenya, where a majority of people are unable to afford or access decent shelter.
So just where did we go wrong? Reginald Okumu, a consultant and lands economic specialist sitting at the National Housing Corporation Board, says it all goes back to effective government planning and perhaps the lack thereof.
We need to plan our cities and our urban areas and actually provide for where residentials will be, commercial areas will be, industrial areas will be, and that actually can guide even investors when they're coming to look for a place to invest. It's not a case of everybody looking for whatever land is available and just converting it.
Kenyans all over dream of owning a house, that prime property sitting in plush regions, a place where they can reside in ease and peace and where the problems of the world seem to fade away. However, this dream often proves elusive for some, what with the high prices of housing seen today. But there now seems to be a beacon of hope. It's a project heralded as Africa's benchmark for new age urbanization. It's called Tatu City. It is driven by heavyweights Tatu City Limited and Renaissance Group and is set to cater for 62,000 residents and 23,000 visitors daily. This is the Tatu area land, sitting on about 2,500 acres. Now, on face value, it looks like just another parcel of land, but it is set to transform lives from this to this. This is what is referred to as a holistic lifestyle city. It is built on a work, live, play concept, complete with residential, retail spaces, commercial, tourism, social facilities, and recreation. Simply, it will be a city within a city. Question is it feasible?
So they are feasible, and they've also been able to negotiate probably very good terms with the financiers, and they have in mind the people who would buy them. So they're well thought out.
This is just one of what is emerging to be a trend of how the real estate sector will look like tomorrow. However, analysts in the real estate sector believe that such projects are only feasible if and when government works with the private sector.
The private sector will not and can never be the primary player in the housing sector. The minute you do that, then what you do is that you have housing that is out of reach for more than half of the population.
The ambitious project is set to kick off and be completed within a 10-year span, with the first residents and business expected to take occupancy in 2012. All in all, in the future, it seems techno cities are the way to go. On one hand, we have real estate developers from the private sector. On the other hand, we have a government that is planning out its cities. The common ground is development. Stakeholders and analysts agree that the two must of necessity come together and work as we push this nation towards Vision 2030. Willis Raburu, Sunday Live.
A huge, very ambitious project. And we're joined now by Chairman of Tatu City, the former Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, Hassan Nyaga. Thank you so much for making time to be here. The big question is, you're looking at a project of this kind, and it looks like it will add immense value. But explain to us, how does it simplify the lives of residents who are living within and around the area as well?
Tatu City is a very visionary project. And basically what we want is to ease everybody's life. We want to integrate the various social stratas. It's not a rich man's city. It's a city that basically has an integration of the very low. We'll have some social houses there. And the concept basically has under it an integration in everything we do. An integration of the environment, an integration of how people live, how people work. The concept itself is the first privately funded and developed city in Africa. So
in Africa?
In Africa, in the 21st century. So basically what we have done is to integrate an African kind of setting, the African communal lifestyle, and put it together for people to enjoy.
Right. Let's talk about the provision of services, because this is something that residents across the country suffer. Problems with services here and there, whether it's water, whether it's electricity. How is the management of services like that going to be done? And, you know, does private sector start now to play a role in what formerly perhaps councils were doing?
Yes, you're right. The concept of Tatu is particularly the fact what we've done is to fund the infrastructure as private sector. And we know there's an opportunity for municipal governments or central government to come in and basically supplement that effort under public-private partnerships. So that can happen. But initially for Tatu, the model is where we will have Tatu City itself owning the land.
Right.
At the very beginning. Then we are selling the land to the developers. But we are selling to them a developed, we'll put the water, the electricity, all that, we are financing that ourselves. When you sell to the developers will sell to the individuals.
Right.
What is innovative about the way that will be run, it is everybody will have a say. Anybody who buys a property there will have a say under what we call a property owner's association. Other than, you know, Tatu is not a gated community, it's basically a city. And the city encompasses everyone. But whoever buys a property there will have a voice and a vote to be listened in at the association level.
So this brings a whole load of different developers together who will develop the land, sell it on, so many players involved. I'm sure a lot of people who don't live close to urban centers must be wondering, is this something that can be replicated? And are we going to see more of this kind of scale of project across Kenya? And East Africa as well.
There's a new word that has just been coined, Tatuization. Tatuization today means putting up a modern city and giving every facility that is modern. I can assure you, and that's what we intend to do in Tatu, is to see that concept being replicated elsewhere. Tatu City is a big project. It's on 1,000 hectares of land. It's massive. It's 2 CBDs of current Nairobi City. We are not saying that Mombasa, Kisumu, and the Nakuru should have that magnitude. But the concept can be replicated. And indeed, we are working with Vision 2030. And I'm particularly interested in setting that concept where we want to see very many other Tatus because they're just complementary to the cities that we have today.
Well, you were formerly head of the central bank. You know the importance of a stable environment. And I want to just, as we end this interview, move away a little bit and ask, you know, 2007, 2008, 2009 impacted very badly on our economy. It was the hot politics and obviously the post-election situation. The politics is getting hot once again. And I would ask you, what would you say as a serious player, you know, an investor in the market? You're bringing, as Tatu, other investors from outside Kenya who are putting their money into the economy. What would you say to the politicians right now?
I can tell the politician, be careful with every statement you make. But having said that, politicians anywhere in the world will always give their own perspective, their own view. We are in a new environment, a new constitution, where people can have a say and say far too much. But I'll put the challenge in the private sector. I think there are too many associations in the private sector. There are very many tattoos. There are very many other big firms that we should be getting together. I can even give the challenge also to you as people in the press. I think you need to start highlighting stories that are more in the economic field.
Right.
So we cannot afford just to be having one side of a story coming out. We have also got a challenge. And for you, I can assure you, for Tatu, some of us have the appetite. We are here for the long haul. And I can assure you that Tatu is going to be a reality, but there are very many other people who run away just because of a little political noise.
Okay.
But I'm sure everything will go well.
Tatu is staying, right?
Tatu is staying.
Yes.
And we want to break ground by mid this year.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We would like to see the development of the concept and, of course, better services, better housing for people right across the country. Asante Sana, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Still so much more coming up. Let's take a look.